And just like that, ammunition background checks smacked unconstitutional. Get some, California. When the Ninth Circuit says you done effed, you done goofed. All right, guys, we're going to dive into this one right now. This is breaking coming out of California. It turns out that background checks on any time that you want to buy ammunition is actually unconstitutional. Oh, you guys are going to love this episode. Everything will be linked in the description box below. I cannot wait to hear what you guys think. And of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. Help us defeat the YouTube algorithm that is unscrupulously deleting people from our roles. Make sure your subscription is still active. All right, let's get into this, people. We have got to talk about something that broke today. This is phenomenal. And of course, everything you're seeing is available on my X account at Braden LOA. Let's dive in here. So, CRPA's Road versus Bonta case just came out. Yep. A couple of hours ago, it was breaking to a news that the Ninth Circuit has ruled that California's ammunition sales restriction law is unconstitutional. Yep, unconstitutional. This is a huge win. The state will likely appeal en banc, so we have to keep fighting. But this law will fail support CRPA's efforts in this case and Simul Pro 2A cases. Everything is linked, including this post if you want to check that out. But I want to break this down a little bit further in a few little areas because there's some things here that I think you're going to like to see, other than the fact that gun control failed in California, because that's always a delicious treat in the middle of the day. Ninth Circuit panel, California's ammo background check mandate is unconstitutional. This is fantastic news, says Hannah Hill from NAGR, who also filed an amicus brief in this case. Now, this is something that I want to draw attention to because it's a positive. All sorts of gun rights groups are working together at an unprecedented level. GOA puts something in, SAF puts an amicus brief into place. NRA puts something in, NAGR puts a brief in, GOA jumps in as an amicus brief. All of these different pieces, SAF, NAGR, GOA, GOC, like all of them. They're all putting forward things and they're working together. NRA's, it's a low-hanging fruit. They're trying to get back. They're trying to do that whole clear. But we'll keep you updated on that one. But this is why I bring this in. National gun rights, they were in on it as well with CRPA and Second Amendment Foundation. I'm going to bring them up in a second. So here's Hannah's takeaways, and I like Hannah's things that she pulls out here. Another guy named Costas Moros, I like his takes as well. You can follow them both on X. All right, I showed you that part. Amicus brief. There's the ruling. Will be linked if you want to see it. But here's something that she said. Very few courts actually get the Bruin footnote 9 analysis right. This is outstanding. 3 claps she gives them for this. Here's what she claps for. The panel next considered Bruin's footnote, stating that nothing in the Supreme Court's analysis should be interpreted to suggest the unconstitutionality of the 43 states shall issue licensing regimes. The panel explained that the Supreme Court indicated that shall issue regimes may be constitutional, but did not hold that they were per se consistent with the Second Amendment. Yes, exactly. Yeah, they might have the right to do it, but they don't have the right to infringe upon the Second Amendment. That's the point. Excellent. Moreover, Bruin shed no light on the constitutionality of an ammunition background check regime, which is meaningfully distinguishable from a shall issue licensing regime. This is the important piece, and I'm going to break it down here for you in a second. But the bottom line, and I love the way that this is worded, I agree with Hannah's assessment here. If they go down the road of shall issue maybe being constitutional, but then they say the Supreme Court indicated that shall issue regimes may be constitutional, but did not hold that they were per se consistent with the Second Amendment, that means there's a very wide open gulf there. These lefties like to say, see, we're perfectly constitutional in infringing your rights and taking them away. Well, the Ninth Circuit kind of just stepped in their Cheerios a little bit. All right, let's keep on going, because again, all of these things matter. If we win 51% of the time on all of the things that we cover, we're going to win in the end. It's just like casinos. All right. NAGR. Great news out of the Ninth Circuit. California's ammo background check ruled unconstitutional. This was nothing but a petty attempt to harm gun owners by making them jump through unnecessary hoops. Absolutely true. If someone already owns a firearm, a second background check on the ammunition accomplishes nothing. Yes. That's the point. That's why they do it. It's all about having a chilling effect so you can't do something and then the demand for the 2A dies and then they don't have any resistance in the legislatures. That's the whole point. If you make something too uncomfortable to exercise, people just aren't going to exercise. Exhibit A, I don't exercise enough. This is the whole point. If you make it uncomfortable, if there's too much of a chilling effect, you're going to basically do a de facto ban just through attrition. That's why they do all the licensing fees, all the licensing forms, permitting, and everything in the blue states. Because they know that if they put penalties on people's rights, they aren't going to go above and beyond for the rights that are already theirs. And they're going to slowly, through attrition, achieve their goals. Death of a thousand cuts. They've been doing it since 1934. All right. Now let's get into SAF's analysis on this one, because I like the way that they phrase this. I'm just going to read you their blurb and then a few little points they brought up. In a case we are closely watching, a Ninth Circuit panel has overturned California's burdensome and error-prone ammunition background check regime in a case we have been watching closely, Road v. Bonta. We congratulate our friends and frequent litigation partners at CRPA on this significant win. Again, their information will be linked in the description below. Besides such background checks being unprecedented, the other big problem with California's system is it does not even work well, worsening the constitutional concerns with it. And this part, I really love this part because this is hard, fast data that destroyed them. Watch this. By the state's own admission, it wrongly denied over 10% of applicants who tried to use it. Over 10%. Data that Judge Benitez forced the state to disclose shows that 7,342 people were wrongly rejected in January of 2023. Only 62.9% managed to successfully purchase ammunition by July 1, 2023. Over a third, around 2,700 people, were either denied their rights or forced to purchase ammunition through illegal means. That's the other part. It pushes you off the street, so it gets you into a very bad position so they can pinch you later. To make matters worse, this background check costs $1 each time you do it, and it will now be increasing to $5. If you do not have a firearm registered at your current address, then you have to do a costlier $19 background check to purchase ammunition. It's like increasing the price of a box of ammunition by like 40%, or in some cases 100%. Good Lord. We are relieved the panel ruled correctly, but of course, given this is the Ninth Circuit, en banc review is certainly possible. Yeah, it's possible, but I want to show you a few things here. A couple of these things really stood out to me when I read through these, and bear with me, my highlighter thing wasn't working properly, so I'm going to try to pick them out while I'm reading. This one I thought was interesting. Because of the terrible decision in B&L Productions, the panel must first decide whether the law meaningfully constrains protected conduct. So like the Second Amendment, buying ammunition. This is the same vein as magazine bans. This, of course, is antithetical to Bruin, which rejected such interest-balancing analysis. Nevertheless, the panel concludes that even under B&L, the ammunition background checks are a meaningful constraint, which means it's an inhibitor to your rights. The majority also responds to Judge Bybee's attempt to minimize this burden by pointing out that 11% of attempted purchases are wrongfully denied as the thread noted at the start. And again, all this will be linked if you want to read even further, but I'm just going to do a few of the high point blurbs here. Basically, this one says it thus implicates the plain text of the Second Amendment. Absolutely, we know it does. This is not a new thing. There's two things I want to show you really quickly again. The highlighter wasn't working properly, so I'm just reading it as I'm talking, which is very difficult, by the way. Here we go. This is an interesting one. On California's proposed analog of surety laws, so this is something that the left does a lot. They put a lot of pressure on surety laws. Basically, like, you're more dangerous, so you have to pay for your rights. Effectively, insure yourself. The panel explains that while such laws were narrow and targeted at people who had already done something to cause fear, California's ammunition background checks apply to every buyer all the time. And that's the point. And here the panel does belatedly recognize that distinctly similar standards should apply. Okay. This is the thing that gun control does. It applies a broad swath approach to everyone involved in the net, as you would call it, and then everyone faces the consequences because of the select few. That's the entire point of gun control. You're impacting everyone's rights because of the actions of select few. It's very simple. It continues to pop up as a problem because it is a problem. It's very easy and obvious to discern what the issue is. I got one more thing I want to show you on this because it's an interesting development in our little scuffle with the left and their constant thirst for our rights, which they will die of thirst. Anyway, let's keep on going. Come on. Where is it? Here we go. Moreover, footnote 9 talked about objective shall issue regimes, a background check system that wrongfully denies 11% of applicants cannot be described as objective. Right. Yes, that's the whole point. The entire thing here in this ruling, and I'll leave up CRPA's stuff here. The entire point of this is they dictate laws and rules that apply to the masses in order to remedy the issues of the few. You literally have to open up one layer of their arguments to figure it out. It's not difficult. They put one layer of safety, and then they provide their reasoning right after that. The second that you start breaking this down and you start seeing what it is for what it is the second you will start winning, because it's extremely easy to share out what they're doing once you pull the mask off the monster. But for right now, that is great news coming from CRPA, and the Ninth Circuit, and now ammunition background checks, as of this moment, are unconstitutional. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see you on the next one. My name is Braden, and I will be right here, probably live tonight. Later.